Gentlemen.
Boys, how are we?
Boys. I said gentlemen. You called us boys.
Sorry, mate.
How are we, guys?
DC, you got us?
Hi, happy there, guys. That's 2 in a row
Yep,
where we've had spaces work for us. It's very good.
Successful, mate. Successful.
Perfect, mate. And MJ, have you got us?
Yes, I do, lads.
Welcome, MJ.
Beautiful. How are we?
Thank you. Nice to be here, boys. Good to see you all.
Perfect. All right. Well, Tim, mate, if you're ready, I'm ready to get stuck straight in,
Let's
mate.
do it, eh? Hello and welcome everybody to the AFL Fantasy Fanatics round review. We're recording live on Twitter on Sunday the 4th of June after the completion of round 12, the first bye round of the AFL Fantasy season. I'm your host and AFL Fantasy Fanatic, Tim Guest. You can find me on Twitter at TimGuestAU. And joining me, as always, is Bales DT. Bales, mate, how was your week? Where are you ranked? Who was your plus and minus 3?
Yeah, Tim, hope you're doing well, mate. Yeah, not going too bad. It's funny, looking at my own team in isolation, I was fairly happy. But then looking at rankings, I didn't move up much. So I'm disappointed.
Yeah, okay.
Only moved up about 550 odd spots up to 8408, score of 1884, which I thought was good, but apparently not, because there's a certain player that I'm sure we'll get to that I don't own that I dislike very much at the moment. And I think you should captain Tim. But my plus 3, Tim, I finally did it, mate. I finally jumped on the Speak and No train. Tim English, thank you very much. His high score for the year. So it's nice to actually bring in a premium and them actually go like huge for you when you bring him in. And shout out to Tim Taranto as well, who was my captain with that 130. -3. I'll probably I did the duo last week of the Rat Pasta, and I'm going to do the duo of Zeeble and Sheasel. So the Sheasball or the Zeezel or whatever you want to call it.
The Sheasball.
Yeah, it was
the
a cheese ball
ball
today, or you could place it with an explicit word at the start. But yeah, they weren't very good with 60s, and I'm sure that a lot of coaches will probably be looking at moving them on maybe towards their bye with them having that round 15 bye. But yeah, that's how I went, mate.
No dramas, mate. No dramas. Well, let's now turn to one of our guests. It's his first time on the pod. It's the host with the most, the nicest or sounding dulcet tones, I think, on the podcast. It's MJ from the coaches panel. MJ, mate, how are you? How was your week?
Tim, safe to say my fantasy weekend went to the same levels of Tim Doday's. It started well, and then a few minutes in, it all went pear-shaped from there. But that's what fantasy footy is, isn't it? You have great weeks, you have bad weeks along the way. So I think I'm ranked just outside the top 10K now, so it's not horrible. But no, at 1830, I think I'm on at the moment. So captaining Laird this week didn't work out, but that's all right. But definitely do have Zach Merritt. So can't complain too much about that. Maybe the only thing that didn't go my way, there's a couple, but Greenwood getting injured is just bad luck. Coaches have that all the time, don't they? So that's a little bit of bad luck. And then Sam Walsh is 55. So bad premium scores in are never great, but when you get them in a best 18 scenario, it certainly is further highlighted, especially when they're more on the unique side. So look, not a great week of fantasy footy for me, but the good news is positioned well for the next couple of weeks of the bye. And there's been some great coaches that have had some really good rounds, which is fantastic to hear.
Yeah, first week of the bye. It's a long way to go yet. Long way to go. And
100%.
Turning to our next guest, Hat Wearer and president of the Hey Traders, Canberra is a City 2 campaign. It's DC Caterpillars from HatChat.
Yeah, that's not a title I've had before, but I'll definitely wear it. Thanks for having me on again, boys.
How was your week, mate?
Yeah, it was okay, I think. It's always a bit hard to tell with the bye rounds because, everyone's got certain structures, quite different to others depending on whether you back-ended or front-ended your buys. I actually had the 6 premiums on my bench this week, which I think was probably a bit more than most, but I managed to move up a couple of hundred spots. So reasonably happy with that. I'm looking at the scores, and at the moment I have a different score showing in my overall rank to the website. So don't exactly know what I've scored, but I think it's 1869. Yeah, which moves me up to 200 spots. And plus a -3. I guess for me, it's probably Merritt in that last game was awesome. But then also brought in Kieran Briggs, which was very, very tasty. What even is a Tim English? So I was quite happy about that today. And then probably the negative 3 might go to Chincotta. Got quite excited with him coming back in this week, and he was the only player I had in that game on Friday night, and it was quite disappointing. I was hoping to start with a 60 or 70 that I could bank in my best 18.
Yeah, cool, mate. Cool. All right. Well, turning to me, just a bit of an update. I had a pretty big week. So I had a 2066, which moves me up to 653. I think it gave me a round rank of 108. So I had a pretty big week, but I got some disaster coming because I'm pretty light on for around 15. But
well, I was just going to say, what an effort with only 18. You didn't have any scores drop off either, mate, and you had the 18. I had 21 and you outscored me nearly 200 points. I still can't wrap my head around that, but
yeah,
you, mate. Good week.
Look, I was heavily. Look, I had 16 primos if you count Sheasel as a primo. So yeah. I mean, I did expect a big score, but like I said, I'm going to be in trouble. I could even be heading for a donut in round 15, so we'll just have to see how we go. But +3, -3. We'll start with a +3. Look, I will give a shout out to Timmy English, but Zach Merritt's going to get it. I had the C on him for the captain, so that was nice way to finish the weekend. And then with a -3, I will actually. Quick shout out, actually. This is kind of good news. I've still got Bodie Uland on my bench, and he came in as the sub. So he went from a red dot to a green dot, which I was pretty happy about. But then he scored a -3. But he was on my bench, so he didn't even contribute to my 18. Or I think that would have ended up with 19 with him in the end. But yeah, I will give it to Rory Laird. Who on debut with the VC had an 81, but he was tagged, I believe. Is that right, mate? I didn't see the game.
Yeah. I'll apologise on behalf of Lairdy to you, mate. I'm sorry. He did get tagged, but we'll talk about him.
He's in for the long term. He's around 14 primo, so I'm happy with him. But he better lift his game. Otherwise, I'm going to start giving you crap every week, mate.
Oh, mate, that's right. I'll find him in Adelaide and give him a talk to and just say, Mate, Tim brought you in last week. You got to lift your game.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. All right. Well, let's get stuck into these games, Hayes. So Melbourne defeated Carlton by 17 points at the MCG on Friday night. It was a disgusting game to watch. But just a couple of things to note. Paddy Dow came on as the sub, just a bit of an interesting one there. James Harms has also got a 1-match ban for a high bump. And Bowie has subsequently went out with concussion. And of course, we're going to see how that might have an impact on the Melbourne midfield. And whether Oliver comes back in this week before their round 13 bye. But over to you, Buzz.
Yeah, well, Simon Goodwin did come out after the game on Friday and said that Oliver will be playing at the King's birthday game, so he'll be back for anyone that did hold on to him or anyone that's maybe looking at him as a round 15 target. You'll get a week to look at him and then he'll have the week off again. But yeah, this game, Petrarca, good start for any of those coaches that had him with a 118. He's looking very, very good at the moment. Be interesting to see how he continues to go with Oliver when he's back. Gus Brayshaw, 89 as well. Not too bad there. Adam Chera was top scorer for the Blues with 111, so I know Doss would be happy and anyone else that's got him there. Doherty with an 87, Gawn 87. But the first one I want to talk about was Jacob Van Rooyen, DC. So he scored a 77. So his cash gen obviously continues. He's going to go up about 25-ish K. I know you traded him, so apologies in advance for asking this, mate. But sorry, mate. But for coaches that got him, looking ahead to that round 15 bye when a lot of those round 15 forwards are on bye, is he a guy that you'd be happy to hold past the bye so you have that number in round 15, or is he still a trade at round 14?
No, I think he's a trade at round 14, personally, unless you're hideously short in round 15. But, yeah, I think they're the perfect kind of guy you want to trade at the bye. They've cashed up enough, but probably not enough to do a simple one down, one up if you don't do it during the bye. So if you can string together a couple of those sort of guys in that sort of 300 to 400K price bracket, you can usually get yourself up to a premium. So I think that's a good one to enter the bye.
Yeah. Salem with a 75. So we're just not seeing these scores that we want to really have to look at bringing him in as an option. Cade Chandler, 80. So anyone that's still got him out there, that was a solid score, especially if it hit him and Van Rooyen. Then also Judd McVie with a 68 was really solid in this game. People thought maybe Kenny would go back into the midfield. MJ with a few of those injuries there, but only a 64. I know he's got the buy in round 15, but because we've got an easy buy, quote unquote, would you be happy to move the guy like Matt Kennedy on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Again, everything's always team dependent. Everyone's got different structures. Tim alluded to that earlier, right at the top of the episode, where he's really heavy of what's just happened over this past week, and he knows some pain's coming in the back end. We've been talking about it, and I know you guys have too, just this inherent pain that is coming for us in round 15. So Matt Kennedy, for me, is someone that I look at and I go, look, he's not generating scores for you. He's also not really generating cash for you. And he becomes that really easy avenue out to get you to someone that's coming off the buy. So it's always dangerous to go, yes, I must trade, yes, I must keep. But Kennedy is definitely somebody that has all those variables that point toward, if you are an owner in Classic, he should be strongly in consideration to be traded this week.
Yeah, I completely agree. But the guy that won't be getting traded, but I know you're an owner, MJ, was Sam Walsh with a 55. I don't know about you, he just didn't quite look right. I don't know if he might have been like carrying something or maybe illness or something, but what did you make of his game on Friday night?
Yeah, to be fair, I think people that have owned Sam Walsh over the past couple of weeks have been more hoping for the DPP than anything else. But if you actually go back and watch some of Carlton's games over the past couple of weeks, you can see that the limited preseason is catching up with him. You can see that he isn't quite moving as freely and easily and carrying the ground and covering the ground the same way he always would. So again, you're not looking to move him on unless there's a significant injury that the coach comes out or he misses a game or something of that nature. But it's certainly frustrating for coaches when that happens. But you just get good scores and bad scores from everyone. Now, bad scores when they're a 55 isn't great, but you're right. To the eye, just to watching the way he moved, the normal getting into space, the normal combative nature, the way he played, it just wasn't evident in that game. So owners are probably going to hope it's just one bad day. But if you have been watching over the past couple of weeks, he definitely hasn't been at what we'd seen over the first 3 to 4 weeks when he came back from injury.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then last two here as well. A few people, obviously, Deese has mentioned before with Chinko with 39. Disappointing that he couldn't bring in a good score, but it was probably a good thing. At least he was a green dot, so it would have maybe helped some coach with a bonus sort of 39 points. And then Cozzy Pickett as well, only 28. So if you've still got him, he's definitely one you've got to move on because he's leaking cash and putting up really, really bad scores. So Tim, move to the Saturday games.
Yes, all right. So let's move firstly to Port, feeding Hawthorn by 55 points at the Adelaide Oval. So just firstly, Seamus Mitchell was laid out with illness. So for coaches that have still held him, you should see him back next week. Also, just a couple of things to note here. Warple was the second highest Hawks midfielder with over 70% CBAs. And also just keep an eye on Josh Sin, who's a rookie price mid forward who came on for Port as a sub.
Yep, and Josh Sin looked very, very good. So whether he breaks into a very tough Port Adelaide side to break into at the moment is obviously another story. But looked very good, used the ball very well. So he's a highly touted draft pick. So we'll see if he gets a game in the best 22. But MJ, I tell you what, as a non-owner for myself, Zach Butters, I don't know if you've got him, mate, but 129, he's looking every bit a top 6 forward at the moment.
Yeah, look, he certainly is. I'm with you on the non-owner territories around that, but he's just doing everything well at this stage. He's getting into space. He's obviously got that midfield rotation clearly sewn up, impacting the scoreboard. You could probably argue this was one of his least damaging games with just how he chose to use the ball, some of those positional things. But again, by quarter time, the game was well and truly over. I don't think you could trade into him at this point now. I think you're almost overpaying for him. Certainly knowing that you're heading into a round 15 bye, no one should be considering a round 15 forward, barring the very rare elite that have somehow dodged the round 15 forward line bullets that we will all hit in a fortnight's time or so. But yeah, he's been one of the picks of the season. A great reminder for us too, that when we know someone has pedigree, when we know, and I mean like historical scoring performance, we know that when they get a roll, they get a bump. It's a great reminder for us as we head either into the back of this year or future years, what happened with Butters. There was the narrative at the start of the year. There wasn't the roll, there wasn't the scoring, and then the moment it hit, sharp coaches jumped on it. So that's the learning for owners and non-owners to see those trends in the game, know the history, and then make the according moves, not just go, oh, who would have saw Butters? Well, we all did. It's just not everyone had the opportunity or the courage to jump on when he was the right price.
Yeah, or in my case, not having the cojones to go and pick up Butters because I was afraid he's going to get injured, but he's been playing awesome so far. Connor Rosie, 121, was also another strong performer in a good matchup for them. Scrolling down a bit here, Josh Weddle, I was very happy owner to have that 80 because he was on 20 at half time, getting to 80 and 60 point second. I'm very, very happy with good cash gen coming as well. Dylan Williams, very similar with a 78, but he had a very big first half and a quiet second half. So Will Day, DC, 70. A few people are talking about trading at his buy. If coach are going to have obviously a lot of players this week, is he an option that could potentially go this week if you're in a luxury position?
Or I probably wouldn't be doing it this week. I'd maybe potentially look at it round 14 if he's one of your weakest players on the buy. But, we're just talking about pedigree there from MJ and guys getting the right role. He's still got the role. So the role hasn't changed. The Hawks scoring in that game was pretty poor as well, particularly the first half. They barely touched the footy, absolutely blown off the park. So I think it was always going to be tough for any Hawk to score particularly well. So I'd just be a little bit cautious if they can get in a few more games after his bye. I can see him going on another run. But having said that, there's a chance he's also not top 6 in the defensive line for us. So if that's enough of a reason to trade him out for you, then I wouldn't talk you out of it.
Yeah. Dylan Moore was another one I was looking at with that round 14 buy for round 15, but only a 70. Maybe watch another week to see how he goes. Not too many more other relevant players here. Cam McKenzie, if anyone had him, he was the starting sub, came on, I believe it was towards the end of the second quarter, got a 50. So if you did have him, that might have been very handy for you. And Ollie Lord as well, popular downgrade option, only 25 points. So not too big there. And Tim, mate, we'll move on to the next game.
Yep. So West Coast were defeated by Collingwood by 63 points at Optus. I've got to say, it was actually I think it was the first West Coast game I actually didn't mind being at this year. Barras was laid out. Then early on in the game, we saw Jordan Ngoe clean up Elijah Hewitt with a high bump, and we know now that he'll be out for at least 3 matches, as he's been referred straight to the tribunal. So Elijah Hewitt was concussed, will miss a week, as well as Herney was subbed out early, injured. I think it was a hammy or something along those lines. So, but also just looking at that midfield group for the Eagles, it's, Sheed, Kelly, Yo and Jinbia, that made midfield group, and getting pretty much all the CBAs through there.
Yeah, just with Sheed, it's Tim, as a friend of the show, mate, it's good to see him doing well, but I think a lot of people have said it. Why could he do this at the start of the year for us? It would have been handy.
It's curious. I mean, he was, by the sound of it all, he was pretty fit at the beginning. I mean, maybe it was just obviously he hadn't played footy for a long time. Took him a while to find some touch. This is certainly what I thought he was capable of. The preseason, I was talking about him going, he could go average over 100. He's showing it now. But, probably just not too many people he's really just not positioned right,
Yeah, only 5% ownership, so quite low. Now, a bit of a shout out. I feel sorry for Jake, obviously, from the HatChat DC, owning Liam Duggan. He's been very, very good, especially the last 2 weeks, and been a very good differential pick over the likes of McGrath and that the people were looking at the start of the year. Another 137, but will be missing a week now with a suspension. Unless they decide to challenge it. But, at this stage, we're missing a week. Tom Mitchell, 124. His high score for Collingwood. He was very, very impressive. Nick Dacos, 114. We don't need to talk too much about him. He's just an absolute star. 3 goals and, very, very influential.
I tell you, Buzz, if I can just interrupt for a second, mate. It's I got some fairly bad looks from my fellow Eagles members, considering the amount of time I cheered every time that Nick Dacos did something amazing and kicked a goal on the run from 50 or whatever it was, but, man, he was great to watch in the live,
Yeah, he's a star. I've seen him twice already in person this year, and he's just so good. Tim Kelly, if anyone still has him as a bit of a pod, 112, be very happy with that. Darcy Cameron, now I brought him in, 109, very, very happy. Tim, I'm pretty sure you brought Darcy Cameron as well.
Yeah.
MJ, DC, either of you guys bring in Darcy Cameron?
I'm DC owner, and I think DC, do you own yourself?
Yes, I am. It's solidarity with the DCs.
I'm assuming that we're all in agreement that he's still a good option to bring in, even though he's got that bye in round 14 will be very handy, flexibility through the last sort of couple of buys.
I mean, look, I think a lot of us brought him in for the matchup this week, but I guess this is the question: how do we see his next couple of weeks?
Well, I think it depends on a couple of things. One is obviously, are you playing the price versus output? Are you doing a fixture matchup, or are you also playing the break-even game? Knowing that round 15, we're all going to feel some pain in the forward lines. The good thing about where he's priced, and also with his fixture, look, Melbourne's not going to be easy from a ruck or from a key position forward perspective. Then they're into the bye, and then round 15, I think they come up against the Crows. You could build a case very easily, depending on what your plans are over the next 3 weeks. You can get him in this week. Equally, I also think he's going to be quite affordable heading into round 15. So I'm probably more of the opinion it was this week or wait to round 15, because obviously you've got that beautiful matchup that we alluded to, that we all enjoyed that 100 this week. But can you do it heading into round 13 and 14? Yeah, absolutely. You could do that. But I'd probably wait one more week, fix up the moves you need to make through the next couple, and then jump on heading into round 15.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was obviously a good tart this weekend. I'm surprised that not more people jumped on him. He's only owned by about 6% because I know Mini Monk MJ for about a good month or 5-6 weeks was banging the drum saying, "Bring him."
I've been telling Mini Monk, you just need to settle down, mate. We're all for helping the community, but sometimes you make things very, very obvious. And he was there for multiple reasons. Nice matchup early. He provides versatility and flexibility through the year, and he's at his price point to performance is massive and helps you with that round 15 buy. Like he could not have banged that drum any louder for the community. So
if the monk is banging the drum about someone, you should listen.
Even if it's just a little timpani kind of drum, like you've got to notice when people like himself or Rid start telling you something. So well done to those that jumped on. The good news, if you didn't, the boat certainly hasn't sailed. If you plan well over the next fortnight, you can get him at 15.
Yeah, exactly right. Alex Witherden, Tim Shanahan hamstring. He's out. Witherden got another 100. Is he an option?
Don't ask me. I don't like.
How about Elliot Yeo then, mate? If you don't want to talk about Witherden, how about Elliot Yeo, mate? He looked very, very good.
Look. Okay, I won't pass the buck with Witho. He's got to be an option. I mean, we know he can easily average 100 with Hearn out. I think these were the kinds of players, though, that you might have picked coming into the buys to set you up for your buy structure. Like, I think the players that we want to be looking at now, and, I'm sure we're going to spend a few minutes talking about it, towards the end once we finish the games, is we want to be looking at bringing the primos that have just had their buy. So as tasty as someone as a Witho, as tasty as I think even, a Yo-Yo's, injury, he's a huge risk injury-wise. As big as that is, he's still tasty with those CBAs. But I think the easy part is that we're probably not really going to be looking at players like this.
Yeah, we're just talking about the round 15 forwards being a real issue. I think potentially some teams might have issues with round 14 defenders as well. You've also got guys like Dacos, Sicily for anyone that held Day, Dawson. So there's quite a few there that a lot of teams will have. And if you bring in another round 14 defender, particularly if you don't have more than 8 defenders and have some DPP flexibility, you're probably going to be in a spot of bother. So I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, so is it for coaches that aren't heavy DC, any interest in Witho or Yo?
A little bit. Yo, I'd be wanting to see another game or two, maybe get on him after his bye if he gets through the next game and looks good again. But just his body is such a high risk at the moment.
Yeah. Jaden Hunt, 78, so another solid enough score for coaches. He can choose to make a bit of cash so he can ride through to his buy. And if you sort of got a few rookies, could even go past his buy. Jordan De Goey, 58. I know Mitch from the Ball Boys brought him in. That was just a really dirty hit, if I'm being honest. Elijah Hewitt, I was actually really keen to watch Elijah Hewitt and seeing how he's going to go in a game, and it got ended early through a bad hit. So he'll be out for 3+ weeks, could be 4. So we'll have to see where that goes. But that's a 4 straight if anyone brought him in.
Well, just as because that happened right in front of me pretty much. The other thing that was really disappointing is none of the Eagles remonstrated with De Goey whatsoever. And it wasn't the only time during the game that happened, kind of thing, where someone got roughed up and no one really went over to support their team. So I imagine that's going to get picked up. I know Will Schofield put a big tweet out that got a lot of attention. So I imagine something's going to be said to the team during the week, and we might see a little bit more hunger and anger and things like that from the boys.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, the crowd didn't let him off every time he touched the ball.
The crowd,
big boo, yeah.
No, the crowd took, more.
Great crowds always over in the West, mate, always. So, Jinby 58, just sort of tick the numbers over, so he'll probably be a popular move on at his bye. Harvey Harrison that came in, he looked decent when he got the ball, 54, so not huge scoring, but the fact that looks like McCreary's going to be out for a little bit. I know Johnson copped a heavy hit. He should be okay. Hoskin Elliott, we'll see if he comes back. He got a bit of a ankle tweak as well. But Jobscree might look okay through the bye, so it could be a popular downgrade option for a lot of coaches to look to this week. And that is it. So we will move to the Saturday night games.
Awesome. All right. Western Bulldogs were defeated by Geelong by 22 points at Marvel Stadium. So here, Ed Richards did a hammy, so not sure how that's going to impact the Dogs' half-back line, maybe their midfield. Looked also like Treloar did a calf, going down the rooms, ditching his mouthguard, having a dummy spit, but came back on all strapped up and proceeded to dominate. But once again, in that CBA mix, definitely Libba, Treloar, Bont got the most CBAs, with McRae and Smith then really only kind of getting around about 30-33%.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I said it before, Tim English, I'm so glad I'm on the train now. I didn't watch this game, unfortunately, with the Crows, which I really wish I didn't watch that, to be honest. But Tim English, I might have to go back and watch this game because 158 points, he's just an absolute beast. Another 158. So, yeah, just incredible how good he's gone this year. Caleb Daniel been a very good pod. If anyone jumped on him with another 136, 3 tons in a row, and with Ed Richards now out for a couple of weeks, that could be even better for a guy like Caleb Daniel. Treloar still scored 130, even though he did go off with an injury, but big scoring game for the Dogs players. So look like Dogs are back to their sort of sharing best here. Liver 121, Bailey Dale 118. The Bont copped a bit of a knock. Did any of you boys actually watch this game? And because apparently Bont had a bit of a hyperextension of his knee, so is he all good to go for this week?
He came back on and seemed to be moving all right afterwards. So sometimes it's just get a little bit of a jab, re-strap, off you go. I'm sure the club will just monitor him through the week and see how they go. And if they need to give him that extra rest over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure they will. But no, he seemed to be moving fine and came back on all right.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Tom Stewart, 115, a good score and a good matchup. So back-to-back 115 plus scores for Tom Stewart. Jack McRae, 104. So if anyone jumped on him a ton, you'd be happy enough for that in a tougher matchup against Geelong there. Mitch Nevitt, 91, popular rookie. Sort of a few people went there a couple of weeks ago, 91. He was a sub the week before, but 91 you definitely take. Bailey Smith, 90, so solid enough. We probably want a little bit more from him. Did anyone get the stats on the CBAs in terms of like McRae and Bailey Smith, what their CBA numbers were?
Yes. So I didn't. I didn't actually. Well, I did look at it, but I don't have the percentages. But like I said, so Lib, Treloar, and Bont got the most CBAs. I imagine it was probably 70%, something around those lines. But then McRae and Smith only got around about 33%.
Yeah, so I've got it here. So there was 29 CBAs for the game. McRae 11, Bailey Smith 8. So yeah, it was clearly obviously Lib, Treloar, and Bont were the main 3. So just keep an eye on that if you've got those guys in your team moving forward. Scrolling down here, a very popular rookie. Hoytian Sauce, DC, was a bit quiet with only 34, and apparently Holmes, Duncan, and a couple of others could be back after the bye. I don't know if you brought him in, but for those coaches out there, is it maybe a bit of a nervous wait till round 14?
Yeah, I did bring him in. Maybe a bit of a nervous wait, but I do think he looked good when he got ball in hand. I still think he played his role. He took the game on. He's got a bit of pace about him. Reasonably neat kick as well by the looks of it. So I think he probably holds, but it would definitely be a watch for sure.
Yeah. And then, Tim, that's it for that game. We'll move on to, unfortunately, the Crows game where they went down to the Suns.
Gold Coast defeated Adelaide by 25 points at TIO Stadium. So good win for the Suns, coming back from 35 points in the second quarter. Couple of things to note here. Tom Doty did a knee in the first quarter.
Yeah.
It's now been reported it's an ACL, so he'll be out for, well, at least the rest of the season, if not maybe 12 months or so. Then apart from that, like I said, Ulan came on as a sub, which was nice to see a red dot rejuvenated, but I'll pass the rest on to you for this game.
Yeah, Jordan Dawson, he's a beast. It's still hard not owning him, but at the same time, I'm loving the way he's playing. He did turn over a few times actually, but still very good, 128. So I'm hoping I can get onto him after his bye. But the one I want to speak about, Ben Keys, MJ, 123, played that midfield forward role, got plenty of time in the guts. With the Eagles coming up this week and the fact that he's going to be playing around 15, he's cheap. Is he an option for people to maybe move on to?
He's an option to consider. But I think that the key with someone like a Ben Keys is you've got to ask yourself the reason why has he had a role change over the past 2 weeks. And it's really, really clear. Lockie Neal was someone they wanted to shut down, and Matt Rao was someone that they wanted to slow his influence on the contest. When I look at the upcoming fixture for Ben Keys, West Coast, the Crows would be definitely backing themselves in to win that in a head-to-head contest. And so the need for a stopper through the midfield isn't there. The reason I would have some hesitancy about Keys is round 15, so straight off the bye, they play Collingwood. What's Ben Keys' greatest opportunity to do for the Crows in that game? To lock down on Nick Dacos, or at least attempt to. And he did a relatively good job at Adelaide a little over a month ago now. So he absolutely is a consideration and an option, and he does look like he's going to present not just value for money based on scoring output historical and in the past 2 weeks, but you've got to ask yourself, why has he moved in there? Has it been effective? And what are the club going to do? I think it's pretty clear. If you want to beat Collingwood, you've got to slow the impact of Nick Dacos. And the Crows have someone that can do it. He's done a relatively solid job before. So is he a play? Yes. I'd be very, very hesitant to have a lot of currency and trust that he's the guy. It absolutely could work and he stays through the midfield, but I'm leaning that round 15 he goes back to half forward to tag Nick Dacos.
Yeah, it's a good, very, very good point there, MJ. Noah Anderson, 109 for any coach that they've got him. Be happy enough with that score. Rory Laird, I'm sorry to anyone that brought him in this way. I know there were a fair few coaches. I know Tim, you were one. DC, did you jump on Laird this week?
No, I did not.
No, you didn't. Okay, good. I don't have to apologise to you because I feel like
are you going to apologise to all the fantasy coaches that brought in Laird this week? Hey, mate?
Yeah. Sorry to everyone. I know Luke from Bull Boys brought in Laird this week. It was a very hard watch after quarter time. I completely forgot they did this last year, Gold Coast, when Laird went nuts in the first quarter against Metricon midway through last year. I think Laird would have been on near 50 points quarter time. Swallow went to him. He only just got to 100. This game, he was on about 29 at quarter time with 12 touches, and he got tagged and only scored, 52 points for the other 3 quarters. So disappointing. He'll bounce back. Great matchup this week, but yeah, just very disappointing from Lairdy there. You can still tackle, mate, when you're getting tagged. Wits, 76, probably won a bit more from the Whittler up at Gold Coast. Still had 48 hit-outs, but just only had the 6 touches. So that's why his score's a bit down. Matt Rao, a few people jumped on 73. He had a big impact on the game, just not in terms of the scoring. He only had the 15 touches, but hopefully he'll be good moving forward through the buys. Humphrey's been very, very impressive for Gold Coast with another 68. So, yeah, he's been a great pickup for anyone that jumped on him. The Rat had a good second half to get to a 66, but Tim, are you still looking to move off of him next week?
Mate, I got rid of the Rat Pasta and Rochelle. I got rid of all of the stinking mess that was sitting in my team this week. It was Rat. Atkins, Fiorini and Rochelle went out, and I brought in Darcy Cameron and Rory Laird and Harvey Harrison. So I'm actually pretty happy. I'm happy with all those trade-ins.
Oh, but there you go. Good for you there, Tim. But
and all those trade-outs.
DC, have you still got actually throw in Fiorini here as well. Have you still got one or both?
I never had Fiorini, but I've got Atkins still.
Are you looking at moving him on this week or holding him with all the carnage potentially around 14, 15?
No, I think he'll probably go for me this week. And the main reason for that is I'm still not 100% comfortable that he will be named in round 14. So there's not much point in holding a guy for another round. And then if he gets dropped anyway, then it's not helping you at all. So I think with still those few question marks over his job security, I'd be thinking about moving him this week.
Is that the same with Fiorini as well?
Maybe slightly less so for Fiorini. I don't know. Personally, I feel as though he's probably a bit more entrenched in the side, but he's certainly not, one of their top 10 players or anything, is he? So, yeah, if he's your biggest issue this week, then yeah, I think you can move him on.
Yeah. I'll tell you one guy that can move on, though, is Will Power. He's been very disappointing the last month, 79, 67, 44, and now another 55. Gold Coast have gone less of that chip games, especially when they've been up in Darwin, and it's been a lot more sort of get the ball forward. So, Will Power is a definite trade if you guys have got him there. Pedler as well. Could be a trade this week. I've got him only 42. He's actually starting to leak cash now. I was thinking I could hold him past his buy for that round 15, but yeah, with a poor score there.
Advise against trading him this week as they're playing the Eagles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, more for moving at the buy because not the scores haven't been in the last 3 weeks, and then Darcy McPherson as well. Only 42. So it'll be interesting to see if coaches are going to move off him. I know Stato's still got D-Max, so it'll be interesting to see if he moves off of him. So we'll move to the Sunday games, Tim.
Well, before we do, just shout out to those listening live. If there is a player that you want discussed, we will run through, obviously, trading targets, particularly players coming in off the buys. But if there's someone you want us to run through, just post it under the space and we'll make sure we'll cover it off before we finish up tonight.
Yeah, and just for you go as well, MJ, do you have to head off now? Have you got a few more minutes? Or?
I've got about 10 minutes left for you.
All right, let's get through these last two
Sweet.
games and then we'll let him go. All right, so GWS defeated by Richmond by 6 points at Giant Stadium. So in this game, Daniels did a hammy, which brought Faye in as the sub, although still not a great score, but he's still sitting there and hanging on to the edge of that team. We're still getting used to the new Richmond coach, so having a look at that midfield mix, it was pretty much Taranto and Prestia at around about 70 to 80% CBAs, and then it was Koch and Bolton at about 50% each. I think Dusty had a couple, but that was really it. There was no one else. Over to you, Bales.
Yeah, Taranto, the GOAT, he's amazing. So good. He did his usual 23 points in the first half, not in the first half, first quarter, or 24 points, but we all know that he does really well in the second half. 77 points in the second half, so he was very, very good with a 130 as my skipper. Now, Tim, I didn't realise how cheap this guy was. Cullen Ward is 461k. He's got a 134. Break-in was 74. You'd be able to move a rookie to him. I know he's got the round 15 buy, but and he's got a mid-forward as well. Is there any interest, but just due to how cheap he is, you could pretty much get a red dot.
It doesn't matter how cheap they are. I cannot bring anyone in for round 15.
Yeah. Is anyone that's MJ or DC, even if you guys can or can't, if anyone can bring around 15 player and is anyone interested just due to how cheap Ward is and he's playing in the midfield?
Zero interest to me. I think you've got to look at everyone, but I think most people have that round 15 pain. The only reason you don't care about that is if you're not playing for your overall ranking and you're just playing for leagues and you're looking for creative ways of generating cash. So he could be that. But the reality is when you look at what Ward has done, before this, he's only got one score over 81 all year. And in the past month before this, there's some vested games through there. It's 50s and 60s layered through. So it looks more of the anomaly more than the normity. So for me, I definitely wouldn't be advocating for trading into him, both for the round and just the high risk, and also knowing there's some ripping options we're about to get that have just come off the buy.
Yeah. I just saw it just sort of cheap price. I thought I'd raise up, but people shut me down. I maybe feel a bit like Dossie there at the moment with a bit of a unique one of people shutting me down. Kieran Briggs, 117. DC, you'd be very, very happy with the big man.
Yeah, he's Sean Darcy 2.0. I think I said it on the pod this week. He reminds me so much of him. Very similar build, tackles really hard. Wins enough hit outs, and I think he's only going to get more ball around the ground as he continues to develop. So he looks one for the future, if not right now. Obviously disappointed that English dropped another 160 on my head, but was absolutely stoked with him.
Is he still an option for coaches to look at?
I guess kind of similar to the previous comments on round 15. I've been trying really hard not to make things worse for yourself in that round coming up. But yeah, I mean, price-wise, yes, I think he is, and the role he's got, he's not getting kicked out of that side anytime soon at all. He was one of their best. But I also wonder how you're going to get to him if you didn't do it this week and you had the Sean Darcy issue. Because most teams are going to have English and Marshall anyway.
Yeah, maybe if coaches maybe held Darcy from last week if they wanted to do other moves potentially, but yeah, that most coaches would have.
Yeah, it's about the only way I'd tick off, I reckon.
Yeah, agreed. Stephen Cornelio, 101, so just sort of ticking over another solid score again. Tom Green was good as well, the 115. Nate continues his own ton run with just getting to that 100 mark there. So if anyone jumps in as a bit of a pod, you'd be happy enough with the 100. Lockie Ash, as an owner myself, very happy back-to-back 90. So after that 60 that he dropped when I could have grabbed Hobbs instead, he sort of levelled Hobbs the last couple of weeks, which has been good. So I've been happy enough with him. Whitfield caught a bit of attention from Baker, but still got 94. Had a big last quarter to get there as well. So happy with that. Himmelberg played in defence with 91, and I know I would ask people about this, but I think that most people say with that round 15 it's going to be difficult to bring these guys in. So he's very, very cheap. Could be one post buy if he's got that role.
And just keep in mind the round 14 is a bit tougher for the defenders, though.
Yeah. So it could be an option round 15.
Maybe.
He can't be because he's got round 15 buy. Yeah, potentially. Scott again here. Finn Callahan looks very, very good. He's been playing well. If anyone's held on to him this long, he's put up some solid scores, playing more inside with Kelly out.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot more inside. I thought he was really impressive. I think he's one to just put in the black book early for next season. If he can somehow get a permanent role in that midfield, he might be a big third-year breakout. He's got a lot of talent.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I've got him in my dynasty draft, so I'll be enjoying him for many years to come. Judson Clark's an interesting option for coaches to look at. 283k forward. Jep, Tim spoke about him with us on Friday. Break him to 59, scored a 60, so he's not going to go up any money. But being a rookie, under 300k, sorry. Tim, is he a guy that you might look at as a downgrade option?
Yeah, look, I think there's going to be a few rookies that might be on the radar for people this week. We've actually, it was looking a little bit dry coming into the buys, but we've kind of had a couple poke their head up. Nothing that looks particularly fantastic, but at the same time, a heartbeat.
Yeah. Then Brent Daniels went off an injury if anyone's got him. Angwin 39 as well. And then Faye came on, scored a ripping goal, only 17 points. So he can't drop price. His Brady was 55. But, hopefully he comes into the 22 at some point and becomes someone we look at. But, so let's fly through this last game, Tim, before MJ heads off.
It looked like a cracker of a game. Shame I didn't get to watch it. But Essendon defeated North by 6 points at Marble. Just a couple of things to note. Simpkin was concussed, so we'll miss a week. Same with Greenwood. Unlucky for those that brought him in. Looks like he was having a bit of a game as well. And then Shield did a calf.
Yeah. I just saw a comment from Mini Monk, MJ. He said, how's the hair holding up?
Mate, it's gone just fine. Thank you very much. That's it. Thanks, Mini Monk. I appreciate your work, Harry. Thank you very much.
But Zach Merritt, this was he does my head in when I don't have him, because I don't have him. He goes 150s. I have him. I captain him, and he scores 50s. So can't get a read on the guy, but he was amazing. And DC, I know that you're an owner. You brought him in for the unfortunate injury, Callum Mills, but by word, he's paid you back for that injury. He's been very, very impressive, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been awesome. We know he can do this, and he's now gone 150 plus in 2 or 3 weeks. So, yeah, fantastic in particular in that first quarter. It was almost the best quarter of footy I think I've seen anyone play this year.
He has scored 203 points in the third quarter and fourth quarter last year when they played North Melbourne, and then the first quarter from this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous. Did cop a pretty solid tag after quarter time from Liam Shields, which did slow him a bit, but yeah, absolutely. Well, it did.
He had a 68-point first quarter, I think. It was.
Yeah, and I think his last quarter was pretty big as well, but the middle 2 quarters weren't that great. So, he's been awesome and definitely looks every bit of a top 8, if not top 2 or 3 midfielder.
Yeah. A guy that Jet flagged that was a solid option he looked at, Nick Martin, 300s in a row. So he's been very impressive. Simon Caldwell, another 107. So he was a good option for those coaches that looked at him. Aaron Hall, 96. He's broken Sheasel and Zeeble, that's for sure. More so Zeeble, I think it's a bit of an issue moving forward if they all stay in the side. Will Phillips, 90. If any coach had got him, would be very happy with that score, making some good cash there. Ben Hobbs, another 86. Another solid score from him. Ridley, an 86. He was solid. And then McGrath here as well. I thought he was going to on track for 100, but he only got the 73, which is good. Zeeble saved himself in the end with a 73. But yeah, MJ's him and Sheasel with 64 with Sheasel as well. As any of those guys, are you looking ahead to maybe moving either on at round 15?
Yeah. So say my favourite 2 words, team dependent, is the key. And then it's also, what's your cadence and structure of the moves you make alongside of that? To answer the question simply, can you move them on? Yeah, you absolutely can. They've done their job of what we brought them into our sides, either as starting squads or early in-season trades. So they've definitely done their job. There's absolutely a chance they go back-to-back tons over the next fortnight and you feel a little bit of that pain. But they've done their job now. So you should at least be considering that now. It depends what other bullets you might have had or other issues you've got to navigate through. You might not have that luxury. But I think everybody should have a really fluid trading plan over the buys. And if you're an owner of either of these and you're not going, oh, what would my team look like if I trade him at 13, not at the end of 14 or at the end of 12? You've got to have those contingencies. Otherwise, you're missing a trick.
Yeah, agreed. And then George Ward as well. He looks a very, very good player for North. They've nailed their top 2 picks. So he got a 62, so not huge, but yeah, he looks really, really tough and good inside. So he'll be good. And then shout out to Mini Monk and all those people that jumped on Hugh Greenwood. I know that there was tweets going around it's just unfortunate bad luck. He looked good. He was on 49 before the end of the second quarter and then copped a heavy hit. Looked very much like the Mitch Owens one for a couple of weeks ago. So he was concussed and will miss an unfortunate for all those coaches. Just luck, unfortunately. It's just a brutal game of fantasy that we do play. But yeah, that's the game there. But MJ, mate, we appreciate you jumping on with us. What are you probably don't know your exact trade plans, or if you do, you can let us know. But what are some targets maybe you're looking at coming off the round 12 bye?
I already do know my trade plans, and Sheasel and Greenwood are all out for me this coming week. But I do need to go, but I'll give you one that to me is if I could go full Mini Monk jungle drums, let me do that for you. It's a player that is owned in under 8% of teams. He's a legacy player that is one of the safest 100+ performers ever since he's joined the club. He's priced at under $830,000.
I feel like this is one of the most relevant pods.
It's pretty
This
close.
is where you lead in. Yeah, this is such. It's the
Hawthorn,
host with the most.
Sydney, St Kilda, Richmond, West Coast, and Melbourne up to round 18. So statistically, he's got the best run for inside midfielders in the game. Oh, and by the way, he always has this ability of going on runs of 130, 140, 150s for a 3, 4, 5 week stretch, and he hasn't had it this year. Ladies and gentlemen, Lachie Neale needs to be on your radar.
Ooh, you've been talking about Lachie Neale for a few weeks now, haven't you, Bars?
Yeah, I was, and then I looked at all these tags that potentially might come. So that's the only thing that maybe puts a little bit of hesitancy on me. But it's definitely an option we've all got to have at least have a look at. So, but yeah, MJ
says it, mate. It's on the watch list.
Exactly right. But yeah, MJ, mate, what are your trades you're looking at this week?
So Sheasel is out for me. I've unfortunately gone into Greenwood, so he is also gone for me. And I'm also going to be looking at moving on one of my cows, and I'll be bringing in Sinclair and Neil.
Love it, mate. Love those two. But yeah, mate, me and Tim and everyone appreciates you jumping on with us. Where can people find you and the coaches panel?
Yeah, so you just search at the coaches panel across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You'll be able to get in touch with us there. And then if you want to find me, it's just at MJ Want. But appreciate you boys. Appreciate the fine work you do for the community and every single person listening. Hope you had a good week so far. I know there's some great content the boys are about to bring as well. So thanks for letting me jump on, and hope you guys have a ripping week.
Thanks, mate. And then also, where can people find the Patreon as well, mate?
All the details. It's just patreon.com/coaches panel. So if you want to jump in and tip in a couple of bucks and get yourself some bonus content, you're more than welcome to join the fraternity there.
Beautiful. Get involved, guys. But yeah, MJ, appreciate it, mate. No, good luck for the upcoming weeks, mate.
Yep, you guys too. Thank you very much. And well done, DC, on trading into yourself.
Thanks, mate.
You know who you really are, mate. Minimus told me.
Yes. I'm actually 205 centimeters.
Beautiful.
All
Thanks,
right.
MJ.
All right, well, let's do a quick update on the AFL Fantasy Content Creators Cup, proudly brought to you by Infinite Wealth, helping you reach financial goals faster, where winning coaches will get $5,000 for their favourite charity. A reminder, there's something special for every coach available too. Just make sure you head across to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy. I'm still getting emails from people saying, hey, Tim, if I go onto your website, the course is $3,000. Don't go to the website, go to /AFL Fantasy. Otherwise, you guys won't be able to get it. But yeah, it's basically, it's a full program, 5 modules, everything you need to work through your own personal financial circumstances. And, you know, thousands of my clients have said this has kind of been the biggest catalyst for change in their financial circumstance. So learn how to pay your mortgage off up to 3 times faster, save thousands on tax every year, and learn how to build your wealth and replace your income. That's infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy. All right, boys, let's talk some trade targets. So, DC, let's throw it over to you, mate. Who do you reckon are the big kind of trade targets looking at for the coming week?
Any premium from round 12, basically.
Yeah.
That would be my general advice this week. I wouldn't be bringing in any big dollar player that isn't coming off the bye.
So let's talk through them, right? So we got Brisbane Lions, right? So obviously MJ brought up Lockie Neal from Brizzy. Anyone else there from Brizzy, Bales or DC, you think?
Dunkley, if you don't have him, I think is the other obvious one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, Dunkley, if you don't have him, but most people do. I don't know if I could do it with much confidence, but I've heard a few people maybe talking about like a Rich or something like that. It's a bit cheaper, but I probably couldn't go there, so I wouldn't do that. So probably no point in me even saying his name anyway. So I don't know why I did. But
on the flip side, are there any rookies from Brizzy that we should be looking at?
Don't think so.
I don't think so. They're not a very rookie team,
mate,
are
like, Does like a Sharp come back in, but then you're going to be confident launching into an expensive rookie that's got not very good job security. So, but yeah, hopefully for those coaches that got Sharp on their bench still, hopefully he does come in. And yeah, it's probably not too many from Brisbane, but Freo though, I think there's a few.
Well, let's talk Freo next.
Well, I'm quite keen on Fife. He's under 450k. You can go probably a red dot rookie in a way up to him, but if not, you can go a cheap rookie, maybe like a Van Rooyen or someone to him. Fife, like his worst case, he gets injured on a low score, won't count anyway because you can have 22 this week. But there's also the case where you could wait one more week because we're so good this week and you can get him in around 14. So are either you boys interested in Fife at all?
I am, that's for sure. I mean, he's probably a bit pricey for what I really want to bring in, but he's definitely going to, I'm going to be looking at him, that's for sure.
DC?
Not really, personally. I still think he's going to play a bit of a weird role. He's probably a higher injury risk than I would like to be getting into, even during the bye period. And then we just haven't seen the scoring there from him yet either. So, and with restrictions on time and ground, so I'd probably just want to see something from him first. And yeah, I know he is cheap, but it's not for me.
It could be that option. Yeah, you wait 1 week. If he scores a 90 or 100 this week, then maybe you launch in round 14. Matt Johnson, I'm really. If you don't have him, I'm very keen on. I know Jet launched into him last week, so he would be one that if he's named, I think is going to be a popular downgrade option. Any of you boys interested in Luke Ryan or Hayden Young back there at all?
No, but I am interested in Brayshaw.
Yeah, well, he'll be probably the most traded in premium if you can get up to him. So probably don't need to say he's an option because he's a very, very, very good option. But yeah, any of those defenders?
Maybe if it suits your structure. Yeah, I think they'll be thereabouts. It's just, it's still quite pricey and they're not necessarily going to be a lock for top 6. So it's not necessarily the most attractive one to me. But yeah, I agree with Tim. I think Brayshaw or Sarong, if you don't have him as well, are closer to being top 8 in their line.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And then, Tim, what were the final two teams for the bye?
Well, we'll start with Saints. I mean, there's probably a couple of interesting players for us to talk about here. So obviously we'll start with the main one, Jack Steele. I mean, obviously wasn't too great in the lead up to his bye, but is he a target after his bye with a week off?
I think you probably want to wait a week, having owned him for the last 4 rounds. I think he's put up 1 ton in that time, and pretty much everything else has been a 70 or an 80. So still didn't look as though he was 100% in that final game pre-bye. I'm hoping that the bye is going to freshen him up. So I obviously held him, but I'd be pretty nervous about trading into him. I think coming into this round, I'll be going a Sarong, Brayshaw, or even a Neil over him, and just watch for a week.
Yeah, I agree. I've owned. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I own Steele as well, the same length that DC has, and he's just not 100%. I don't think. But Sydney are one of his favourite teams to score against averages. I think near 116. But obviously, that doesn't mean much if he's carrying something. So hopefully he's fine and can bounce back. He's an option, but yeah, not one I'd be going into with a lot of confidence.
So the other one would be Sinclair.
I'm very keen.
A target?
Yeah, I'm very keen on him. I don't think I'll personally be able to go up to Brayshaw. I just don't think I have the funds to get there. With the English this week, I just preferred to lock English in over Brayshaw, but he's obviously Brayshaw a great option. But Sinclair for me is more in my price range, I think, that I'll be looking for. So
what do you think about Sinclair, DC?
Yeah, I'm a fan. We haven't seen the same really high floor from him this year. We've seen a few of those lower scores, which makes me a little nervous that if you jump on him at the wrong time and he goes a couple of 70s, he could burn you a bit. But he's certainly shown that he's still on his day an absolute gun and has got a ceiling as good as any of the defenders this year. So I don't mind it, but he's not one I'm going to be going out of my way to get this week personally.
And he has got Sydney this week as well, which he could cop a Ryan Clark tag maybe.
I don't feel for me like I've seen enough with Sinclair to have the confidence in that role. But that's just me. Anyone else from the Saints?
Is Brad Crouch? I know Brad Crouch is a bit frustrating, but he's very cheap. Is he maybe an option that we could look at if you can't get up to anyone that's maybe a bit pricey?
Look, I mean, I think for me, I mean, this is probably a bit more strategy focused. It's, we got buy rounds, right? We got 3 trades. If you're ever going to be able to get up to your big dogs, this is the week that you do it. Or these are the weeks that you do it. So, I'm a bit hesitant about going these players that you kind of think are kind of like, I don't know, 50-50 or a bit risky. I think,
just middle of the road. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, we should be looking to bring in, top 6, top 8 in their line. Obviously we've got to try and navigate the red dots in the buy structure, right? But apart from that, you want to be bringing in big dogs.
Yeah, I agree. And then if you don't have Marshall as well, he's obviously a great option, especially for people that maybe held a Darcy and had an English. Maybe you're waiting the week to get Marshall, so that's obviously a trade I'd make. But then the other one, if we forgot to mention with Freo, depending on how long Darcy's out for, Jackson's another guy I'm looking at to bring in my forward line. So he'd be one that you could look at as well.
Yeah, same kind of thing as what we just talked about, right? I mean, Darcy. I mean, there's also talk of potentially Darcy being back this week, right?
Well, I think Zave said that he was out for at least a month.
Oh, okay.
Sure. So but then some people are saying he's going to be back maybe around 4. So I don't know. It's very mixed reporting.
It said moderate length, so to me that's probably longer than 2 weeks or a week. So I would expect it's probably a standard 3 or 4 week hamstring.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of injured players potentially coming back, let's turn to the next team, Sydney. Do we expect to see a Callum Mills, do you think? Or
I think round 14 we can maybe at the earliest. I don't think he'll play this week, but maybe round 14 or 15. So he could be a guy that you launch into in round maybe post-bye, round 16 maybe, depending when he comes back, because he's got to break into 150 or 140 odd. So I don't know if you boys agree with that. But then again, if that's the best you can get to in round 15, he comes back, then you could launch. But
I'd probably let him play one game as well before jumping on him. Just make sure he gets through the comeback game. His price will probably drop a bit, and then you can jump back on after that.
Yeah, agreed. Anyone interested in Lloyd at all? He's been very solid. You probably get what you pay for, but he could be around the top 6 the way he's going. Anyone interested?
He's actually been sneakily good all year. And he's hardly copped a mention. But I've had him in draft. He's been good, hey?
Yeah, well, we picked him up. I remember that mock draft, the Res Magic one we did at the start of the year. We picked up Lloyd, and I've just seen he just keeps getting it done. So, yeah.
He's kind of similar boat to Sinclair, certainly Ryan and Young, where they're all solid, and Sinclair's maybe a slight step above, but I'm not sure they're absolute locks for the top 6. So it's a lot of money to spend on someone that isn't hugely discounted, but may also not be the top in the line.
Yeah. Is anyone paying up for Goulden if like for non-owners out there, or is he just too expensive that you more probably you'd either go for one Brayshaw, but if people already got Brayshaw, maybe go for a Sarong or someone a bit cheaper?
Yeah, I think if you haven't got him, just wait for that price to drop again a little bit. I think. Having said that, if you're stacked in the forward line for round 15, you might need to bring in a round 12 player there.
Was it Mitch that traded out Goulden this week?
Yeah. So he went him down. I didn't actually mind that play because if you look at like the stock market, there's always like you buy low, sell high, and he's probably a sell high guy. So if you're in a position where you could have gone him down. I didn't mind the move, but going to the goal, he obviously didn't quite pan out. But yeah, he's very expensive. Is anyone I don't like bringing in this guy? He's done my head in for years, and he's done all their heads in for years. But with that round 15 for our forwards, is Isaac Heaney an option to bring into the cheap price to get you through the buys with all that carnage in round 15? Or, Tim, you said before you're just trying to get those guys on top?
Trades like this. Like that. Yeah. I mean, I've had him a couple of times in the past, and he just doesn't – he's not someone I want to own.
If he was 150K cheaper, I think I'd look at it, particularly with Parker and Mills out this week. But, yeah, he's probably just a bit too awkward. I think he's just under 700K. So not a huge amount of value there. And if he keeps sitting forward, then, yeah, on any given week, he can drop a 50.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's it. I think that's all the players and teams, boys, unless you guys
awesome.
Can think of anything.
Yeah. Well, no. Look, actually, one of the things I just realised I kind of did the promo for the AFL.
I was going to say that before,
content, but I didn't actually update anyone about how any of the teams went. So I'll do a quick update on that. So just from a scoring point of view, we only had 3 coaches that went over 2,000. So just to give you a bit of an idea about where Palm might have been. So it was obviously by rounds, lower scoring rounds. And I'm also going to give just a bit of an update on the top 8 from an overall point of view. Please keep in mind lockout hasn't lifted, so this is just my best, attempt at the top 8. I may get it wrong, so forgive me if I do screw someone over. But starting at 8th, Nathan the Ober Mullets from HatChat ranked just under 6,500. 7 is Louis from Pod, who's ranked basically about just over 5,500. Stato is now 2,821, so still inside the top 3,000. Destroy is just inside the top 2,500, 2,466. Miller has moved into, I think that's 3rd position at 2,354. In second is Sanch. Not second. Sorry, third is Sanch at 1163. So just outside the top 1,000. Who let the dogs out? Mitch is inside the top 1,000. He had a good week this week. 852, and order is restored. I am once again leading my own competition at 653. So yeah, that's where we're at for the overall rankings of the AFL Fantasy Content Creators Cup. We'll probably start updating on how we're going head to head after the bye rounds, I think.
I think the most important stat that you missed, though, Tim, was I was the second highest scorer leading into today. So,
really?
Yeah. And then
I didn't
bad Sunday.
I didn't see that, mate. Yeah, apologies, mate.
But I got to win. So I'm very happy with that. Back on track, maybe.
We'll see, mate. We'll see. Been a tough year for Bales.
Oh, mate, been screwed over plenty of times. I'm sure there's coaches out there that have been more, but not a great year so far. But hopefully bounce back with the other buys.
Well, let's quickly run through player requests. I was going to throw out there a bit of a well, you know, a joke about the Patreon and paying for MJ's hair care routine. Mini Monk has put a question in the Twitter space there, so shout out to him. Am I crazy to be bringing in Fife with, it'll be JVR Hout? Yeah, John, we were talking about Fifey there, so hopefully that covers that. Got him Wardlaw. News through. All right. I think. Are we on YouTube tonight, mate? Any people there?
Yes, we are, and it's the audio is working, which is great. We've got 52 people listening, 53 people tuning in, so appreciate that. I'll quickly scroll.
Looks like we've
through.
covered off everyone on the Twitter Spaces, so you have a look at that, and I'll start doing the.
Yeah, I think looking
covered
here,
off everyone.
Ben was saying about Ethan Hughes, but I'm not sure if Ethan Hughes is an option to be looking at, unfortunately.
Anyone else, mate?
People just saying about Briggs. Is he an option? So, Tim, I'll probably go to you. But what are your thoughts on Briggs, Tim?
Oh, like I said, I think last week was the week. I think MJ said if it wasn't last week, it was after round 15. I mean, maybe if you held Darcy, you might do that move. But yeah, I think I just don't know that it's going to apply to most people with, you know, the ruck lineups that we got. Maybe Darcy owners from last week, but that's about it.
Yeah. We got one here. Connor said, does Cripps have to go? So he's got Paddy Cripps. So he's got that round 15 bye and he hasn't been doing too great. Is he a move on DC?
Sorry, mate. Just missed that one. Can you try that again?
Paddy Cripps. He's got that round 15 bye. Is he a move on? He's been a bit disappointing.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He's been well short of where he was last year and well short of a top 8. So, yeah, I think you can probably go.
Yeah, agreed. And I'll just do this one here as well. James Crabb said Hayden Young or Jack Sinclair. Is it Sinclair?
What's the price difference?
Yeah,
I think it's about 40-ish K from memory. I've just got to get the price
Hayden
up
Young
here.
is $7.98.
I think Sinclair's at $8.30.
Yeah, probably Sinclair then. It's not a big enough difference to worry about.
Yeah, agreed. That's it. Looking through the live chat, I'll answer any like head-to-head questions post. If anyone wants to move from Twitter over there, or if anyone's on YouTube, stick around just after I answer some questions post the Twitter space.
Well, let's throw out a big thanks to our guest, DC, mate. Thanks for joining us this week. Where can people find you?
No, thank you, guys. Good to be on again. You can find me at DC Caterpillars, and you can find the podcast at HatChat AFL.
Awesome. And if you don't subscribe, make sure you subscribe and get along and give them a massive review. The boys are awesome, and we appreciate you guys always coming on and helping us review the rounds. Thanks for joining us, and in particular, thanks to those that sending questions. Of course, you can send your questions to us on Twitter. Please follow us along at AFL Fantasy Fans, and don't forget to tune in each week. Well, firstly, for our pre-lockout chat, normally at around about 4 o'clock Australian Western Standard Time, 6 Eastern Time on a Friday. And then, of course, we've got our live Twitter space on a Sunday. After the final siren, where we're going to review the rounds. And if you don't catch us live, you can always listen to these spaces on the AFL Fantasy Fanatics podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and please give us a 5-star review. Bales, mate, where can people find you?
Bales DT and Truly Bales HD on YouTube. And then just before we go as well, just ask both of you what your early trade thoughts are. So, Tim, I'll actually go to you first, mate. Have you got any idea what you're doing or who you're looking at targeting?
Look, I think Brayshaw will be the one that I want to be bringing in. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it, but we'll wait for lockout to lift and I'll start flicking people around.
DC, have you got any early trade plans at all?
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, Atkins will be one of my outs. Not entirely sure who the others will be yet, but I'll be targeting either Brayshaw if I can get to him, otherwise Neil.
Yeah, and then mine, I'll be bringing in probably Harvey Harrison will be the one. He's got that round 14 bye with a few injuries. I might look at him. I was looking at Fife, but maybe thinking about it, maybe I'll just wait a week and then bring him in around 14 if he looks good. Ben Keys is an option I've looked at, but he's a good flag from MJ that I may just maybe not worry about it. And then, if I want to get at least one of Brayshaw, Sarong, Sinclair, or Lockie Neal. They're probably the ones. I want at least one of those guys in my side. So, Tim, where can the people find you, mate?
Tim Guest, AU.
Beautiful. And then you can sign us off, mate.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for listening in. I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll catch you all again at the same time next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Beautiful. Thanks, DC, mate.
Yeah, thanks, DC. It's good to have MJ on as well.
Yeah, no problem, guys. It was good.
Beautiful. How are we doing, everyone? Hope we're doing well. Got 59 people watching on. Beautiful. Actually, I've adjusted my camera. Didn't adjust it before going live. But there we go. So, yeah, I thought it was going to be a good round for my team. But unfortunately, only moved up about 500 spots. But, hey, that's okay. We're all good. But I'll be answering questions maybe for 20 minutes or so, or just until sort of we stop getting questions. Then I'll have to head off because I've got to finish off an assignment that's due later tonight that my Unity hasn't got back to me about how I went. So I'm sort of just going to have to wing it and see how we go. But let's get to these questions. So James Crabb says, what do I do with Greenwood? Pretty awkward price. It is. I know it's hard. Maybe is that one where you do go to a Fife or a Keys or something that could be of interest maybe for you, because just because you're sort of stuck in a weird position, as you say, James. It's just really unfortunate. Because he looked good. And I was thinking in the first quarter, I was like, damn, I should have brought Greenwood in. But, yeah, unfortunately, fantasy's a cruel game. Yeah, it's one of those guys. Maybe you go to a Matt Johnson, maybe make some cash that way, maybe make a couple $100K, put that on top of someone. That might be something you could do. Harry Thomas dodged a bullet by going Hobbs over Greenwood. Yeah, he probably did. So obviously Hobbs looking really good. So you'd be very happy that you got on him. Ben got 1990. Good score, mate. A very good score. Got me by 100 points. I thought I had a good week, but I clearly didn't. I only moved up about 500 spots, and yeah, unfortunately. But good to see people getting some good scores. Underscores got 1960, saved by the captain on merit, brought in Greenwood, annoying and Laird in this week. Well, Underscores, mate, apologise for Laird. Obviously been on the watch long on Friday. And yeah, I was keen on him. I thought he was number one target, and he put an 81 up. But yeah, Merritt was probably a big killer for my rank, actually. That's probably what raised the score. A lot of people had him. That's why a lot of people probably went big. Yeah, he was obviously very good. And yeah, unfortunately, Greenwood, but still very good score considering he had the Greenwood. And that's the good thing about buys. You get injuries, but that's the good thing about having 19 or 20. If an injury hits, you're still fine anyway because you'll have a good score, but maybe it's just about trading him. It's a bit of an awkward price. Ben Hayes, obviously, it's about Ethan Hughes and Hayden Young. I'm not sure about Ethan Hughes, but Hayden Young is a solid option. We obviously talked about him on the pod that he's not going to be probably that top 6, but he's just a solid guy, maybe to get you through, maybe a luxury upgrade later in the year. If he's your best you can get to, I don't mind him. But yeah, Ethan Hughes, what's he like? He's cheap. He's at 489, but not putting up the scores for me, so I probably wouldn't look at him, unfortunately. Jones Crab, think I'm going to bring Hayden Young in this week. Yeah, he's a solid option. I don't mind him. Tony Tran, Seamus Mitchell was a sucky injury I missed. So he was sick, unfortunately, so illness. But he'll be back this week. So it's probably a good thing you missed it, Tony, because I would have held him anyway because he's going to be important for the round 15 bye being a forward. End up having Artie Jones. Yeah, I know, unfortunate there. Tony's didn't put up a good score, but yeah, unfortunately, these rookies can sometimes let us down. Excuse me. Jason Beck brought in Briggs and Keys, but changed captain from English to Taranto. Well, the ins are great. You'd be very happy with Briggs and Keys. Obviously, the change from English to Taranto is not huge. It only cost you 28 points, so it's not big. Obviously, 28 points would have been nice, and it would have been good to have that captain. But yeah, obviously, it sucks that you trade. But at least you have both, because there's some people that don't have English. Most people got Taranto anyway, but yeah. It's still good with those 4 anyway. Andrew Griffiths, Sheasel and Day are gone for me. Merritt and Cameron come in. Pedler goes to a rookie. Obviously, if that works for your buys, Andrew, then that's obviously great. I wouldn't mind maybe going for a Brayshaw over Merritt if you don't have Brayshaw, Andrew. But yeah, Cameron, I still don't mind as an in as well. And Pedler can go to a rookie. Yeah, agreed. That's the thing. I could just go him to Harvey Harrison. That makes me 200K. And yeah, I'd probably get Brayshaw in by going one of those North defenders out potentially. Ben Hayes, is Seamus Mitchell back this week? I believe so. It was just illness, so obviously we'll have to just wait and see, just hear from the club. But I assume that Mitchell will come back in. Yes, Ben, I think so. Brendan, g'day, Bales. What a nightmare. Trades worked. Captain, no, it worked except Kenny sub-life set out. My regulars failed dismally. 1985 for the round, dropped 3K. 1985, you dropped 3K in ranks. Really?
I wouldn't have thought you would drop that much. When 1985, I went up 500 spots, and I only got 1882, whatever it was. So, but yeah, Lysette, I know you were going Lysette there, Brendan. Unfortunately, got Southern because he was looking good. 1685. Sorry, okay, that's why. Yes, okay, yeah, I'm unfortunately going to drop some spots with the 1600. Unfortunately, hopefully he bounce back, Brendan, in the next couple of weeks. Brendan, thank God McPherson's done this week. Yeah, that's right. You can get rid of him and that's fine. You could hold, but yeah, I don't mind trading. NM brought in Greenwood and Degoe this week. I know fantasy's a cruel game. I like both the ins as well. I would have said, if you asked me on Friday, are they good ins? I would have said, yep, I like the Degoe in, good buy play, and then Greenwood, good for money making. But unfortunately, like I think I said, like Toot Miller when I brought him in round 5 or 6, I brought him in for the buy and the fact he was cheap, and I thought he was going to be a good option to bring in, and he got injured. Just fantasy, unfortunately, just a cruel game. Meek Plays brought in Greenwood as well. Plenty of people bringing in Greenwood. Brendan Lysette was fine, then the flogging him, and then Kenny subs him out. I know, it's very frustrating. Tyler Cat says Simpkin and Greenwood. Oh, he had both. Well, hopefully Simpkin didn't count, and hopefully Greenwood didn't count as well. But yeah, Connor Cripps has to go. So obviously I asked the boys about this, but yeah, I think so as well. He's just been disappointing. Round 15 buy as well is probably another reason why you could just say get rid of him. So I would trade, I think, for him there. Moonboy, best rookies this week. For me, I think Matt Johnson's probably the pick of the guys coming off the bye. I think he will be in the team. O'Meara suspended. Johnson's a great target. I know he's a bit more expensive, but I'd be happy to pay up for him. I think he'll be good through the buys. Judson Clark's an option, under 300K. I think he's in Richmond's best 22 with some injuries going around. And I think he'll score solid enough. So I might be looking at a double rookie downgrade this week to bring in a better player. So, yeah, Judson Clark for me is a guy I'll look at. I didn't actually mention him on the Twitter space, but yeah, he's definitely one I'm looking at. Harvey Harrison as well. I think he'll be in Collingwood's team for at least the next few weeks, even just past buys with a few injuries there. So I think he's a good option. Besides that, though, like you're not going to bring Mullen in because there's obviously no sort of guarantee he's going to be in post buy, so I wouldn't bring him in this week. McAndrew, if he gets named for Sydney, could be an option. So we might have a couple of rookies this week to downgrade to, which is obviously great. We had the mid-season draft as well, so does maybe a Ryan Marriott or come in for West Coast. Any of those guys, they come into their sides. It's only been about 10 days since I've been it's been, 4 days? But by the time the round comes around, it'll be about 9, 10, 11 days since I've been in the club. So we'll have to see if any get named, but it'd be good if we can maybe get a couple through the buys. Jack Wilson, Luke Ryan, worth a pick. Yeah, I don't mind Luke Ryan. He's been very solid this year. I've been very nervous to pick Luke Ryan just because we've seen that he can put up these bad scores, but he's just been solid all year. I'm just getting him up here. So 799K. Has only had the one score below 60, and that was a 69 against Gold Coast. That's his lowest score for the year. Put up some monster scores there. Richmond, Giants, Essendon, Bulldogs the next 4. So, yeah, I don't mind him as an option. But Hayden Young could be a good option as well. Ben asked about Hayden Young there. I like both. I think if that's the best you can get to, I don't mind either. Maybe Hayden Young just for maybe probably the higher floor. But then again, Ryan's had a high floor this year. So maybe probably just past. We've seen Ryan drop these 30s out of nowhere. So I'd probably go Hayden Young out of the two. Corey Blackledge scored 1745, but didn't have Dacos, Dawson, Rosie, or Bonampelli. Went down 3,000 spots this week. Yes, it must have just been a very high scoring week. Like I thought 1880 odd was a good score. I thought, brilliant. Before the final game, I thought Humphrey and Atkins dropping out. A lot of people would have had to take those scores, but seems like a lot of people scored well. I didn't have Butters or Dawson. They were probably and Merritt. They were probably the three that really killed my rank this week. But yeah, unfortunate. But yeah, hopefully onwards and upwards for you, Corey. You got it without English as well. Well, considering you got 1745 without those, without Dacos, Dawson, English, and Rosie, it's pretty good. So, Corey Blackledge, I wish I went Weddle over Mullen, but still got Fiorini to Merritt. So obviously that's a great trade getting Merritt there. And Weddle was obviously good, but he did have that 20-point first half. So that's a little concern moving forward. Is that going to be? He's going to be up and down, but obviously an owner myself, I'm glad that he got there in the end. Good for cash gen, and I'll be able to hold him post his buy, I think. The TC channel got 1956. Very good score there, TC, mate. Ben Hayes got 1990, so got some strong scores coming in here near 2000. Corey Blackledge, I saw someone VC'd English and captain Uland. Yeah, I did see that. So they would have got -6 as a captain. So that's just why you don't do anyone that's a sub or risk of being sub. That's why you got to try and be safe with loopholes. And to be honest, surely they had a buy player. Surely. I don't know. But yeah, unfortunate there. Liam Smith, Greenwood was looking good. Unfortunately, he went down. Yes, I know. As I said, he was looking very good. So that's just unluck. It's just unlucky there for coach that brought him in. Jack Wilson, is it worth keeping Pedler's Crows play Eagles, meaning Shakir couple? Yeah, I was mentioning Pedler down, but yeah, obviously with the Eagles match up, you could keep. I'm still looking maybe at trading. It just depends. It depends. I haven't actually had a look at my team, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what I can do. But I don't think you don't have to hold him. But if it's him or someone else, then you could obviously try the other rookie out first. But yeah. Street Rat 1998 this week, 19.5k down. I see moved up 5,000 spots there after a shocking start to my first year playing fantasy. Well, good to move in the right direction, Street Rat. Big move this week. Riley Farmer says, hi, mate. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you tuning in. James Crabb, Hayden Young or Sinclair? For me, it's Sinclair. I think he's more of a lock for the top 6 than what Young is, and I'd probably prefer the ceiling of Sinclair as well. So for me, it's Jack Sinclair. Porter Dennis, would you get -6 if you captain Uland? I think so. But they wouldn't have probably counted towards your score, I don't think. I'm not sure how that actually works. Maybe Warning probably know that one there, but I'm not sure if it counts if your captain scores lower than your 18, if that still counts. I think so. DJ Brett, if your captain isn't in best 18, maybe a VC score would count. I still think your captain is locked in as one of your best 18, regardless how poor they score. I think. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Hoops with Coops. When's Toot back? Probably. I think they said around 17, around 18 is when they were looking at. I think just sort of what they've mentioned. There hasn't been a definitive timeline, but that's sort of what a few people floated around. Fallen Wrath got 2021, big score there. Is the 18 locked in? Yeah. So all your top 18 scores already locked in anyway. But yeah, obviously big score for you there, mate. What have we got? Jaden Ellis, 2019 this week, now ranked 11.55. Good rank there, Jaden. I wish I was up towards there, but still got a bit of work to do. Porter Dennis, can Keys come in even though he has the bike coming up? Yeah, he can. Yep, I like him as an option, just with the flag maybe. Does he tag Dacos and play forward in round 15? But a lot of people are light on in the forward line in round 14, so I don't mind bringing him in this week. I was very keen, but after hearing a bit of that, I might not be as keen, but he is an option. OG Eagles says, hold Pedler and with the Eagles matchup or cash out for Johnson. If Pedler's your biggest rookie issue, as in like you haven't got many of these rookies that can make a lot of money, I still think it's fine to go Pedler down to Johnson because Johnson will be playing round 14. He should be playing round 14. So I would still be happy to tick it off. Just if you've got another rookie there that you can move on first, I'd do that first. But yeah, just pretty much team dependent. But I'll be happy to tick it off. Porter Dennis, if he's back in the guts, you're paying 600k for a premium. Yeah, it's a very good point. If he is in the guts, he's going to be a guy that's going to average a lot. So could be a guy that you can look at bringing in. Zeeble or Sheasel out, says Ben. This is a tough one. This would have been one I would have loved to have asked on the pod. I might have missed it, or it might have been when I wasn't looking to the questions. Zeeble or Sheasel? Like, do you go the older guy in Zeeble out because he's worth a lot more as well? It's probably Zeeble because Sheasel's probably he's going to go anyway, but he's got more money on his head. Zeeble will probably drop more in price over the next couple of weeks, and you can probably it only cost you 100, probably not even going to be 100k to go Zeeble to Brayshaw, or it might be just over 100. So I'd be happy maybe to do Zeeble to Brayshaw. That'd be what I'd do personally. Jack Wilson, Bales, you're a legend. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for the kind words there. If you guys haven't subscribed as well, make sure you do. Bottom right-hand corner. Make sure you leave a like on the video as well if you're enjoying it. We've got 58 people watching. So if we can hit this video, get 50 likes, that'd be fantastic. And if you do want to go the extra mile and donate to the channel with a super chat, then feel free. But as long as you subscribe, that's all that would hope that you guys could do. So appreciate all support. We'll go through the few questions here. James Crabb says, thoughts on Fiorini to Sarong? Yep, I like that. Sheasel to Neil and Greenwood to someone 400k that I don't own. So it could be Johnson. You could go Greenwood to Johnson, Sheasel to Neil, and Fiorini to Sarong. I could tick them off if they work for your buys. You could keep Sheasel to around 15, but I don't mind if you ran 15 buys looking really heavy. You could probably go early and go Sheaves with Sunil. So I don't mind it. OG Eagle says, Bailey McDonald, thoughts? He looked okay, especially with Hawthorn's defence were under a lot of pressure against Port. If he holds, he's an option. I'd probably rather Harvey Harrison, though, with the round 14 buy being a forward that we're light on, whereas we're probably a bit more heavy with round 14 defenders. So I'd rather Harvey Harrison. But yeah, McDonald could be an option if he holds his spot in the team. We'll have to see. He did come in for Mitchell, so I'd imagine that Mitchell does come back in the side, but does he come back in for McDonald or is he coming back for someone else? Nathan Cranfield, who would you go McPherson to? Goulden? Would you go McPherson to Goulden, Witts to English, and Greenwood to Keys? Tick him off, yeah. Maybe Goulden's probably, maybe if you can get Brayshaw instead of Goulden, maybe. I'll probably do that, but I do like all the ins. Goulden, I expect to play midfield with Parker suspended and Mills still not there. So you could do them. Yeah, I don't mind those trades if they work for your buys. SC Seb got 2,000. Very good score, mate. Anything over 2,000 was a great score this week. Harry Thomas, what's a good downgrade option for Michael Annie? I mentioned a couple before. So probably your Matt Johnson being my number one. You've got Judson Clark's a good option. Harvey Harrison, a few guys like that. They're probably the three I'd probably look at bringing in. And if McAndrew's named for Sydney, maybe you bring him in as a ruck forward. If you can sort of swap Michael Annie and put someone in defence and bring him in that way. Ben Hayes, I'm thinking going Zeeble or Sheasel out for Dylan Williams. For Dylan Williams. I wouldn't bring in Dylan Williams in, Ben, because Dylan Williams got his bike coming up and he's already made a lot of money. He's too expensive now, so I wouldn't bring Dylan Williams in. But if you're training Zeeble or Sheasel, it's probably Zeeble with the more money on his head, but both I think can go. Maybe not this week, but could be gone in future weeks. Atkins out for Neil. Yep, I like that. And Day out for Young. I'm not sure about the three trades, Ben, because I'm sure you probably do other moves, maybe bring in a rookie. I don't know if I'd go Day to Young. You can do Day to Young the week after when Day's got his bye. But yeah. James Crabb, thoughts on Fiorina Sarong? Sheasel to Neil and Greenwood. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I said, Matt Johnson. Yeah, that's right. I was saying before. But yeah, Matt Johnson, I like those trades, James. Fiorina Sarong, Sheasel to Neil, and Greenwood to Matt Johnson. Yep, tick them off. Love those trades. Andrew Grivers, Pedler to JVR. Oh, no, Pedler or JVR, sorry, to Johnson. I probably wouldn't want to get rid of either because Pedler's got the Eagles matchup. JVR's making money. If you need points on fit, well, you probably don't need points. It's probably Pedler gone for me because you're probably not going to need Pedler on field this week. So that's the other thing. I'm actually probably happy to get rid of Pedler because yes, he's got the good matchup, but are you really going to need him in your 22 this week? We're going to have most teams are going to have at least 22 players this week, so I'm not sure you need Pedler. So it's probably Pedler because you're going to make more money. And then Sheasel to Sarong or Neil. I'd probably say Sarong out of the two. I just think Sarong's probably more a lock top 8 mid than what Neil is. I don't even know if Sarong's going to be a top 8 mid, but he's still going very well. I'd rather Sarong for me. Ben Hayes, thinking of getting in Williams or Harvey Harrison. I wouldn't be getting in Dylan Williams, but Harvey Harrison's a good option, Ben, there. Williams is too expensive. Andrew, I mean Harrison. Do you mean Pedler to Harrison? I'd still go Johnson over Harrison if you can, but yeah, interesting. Ravel winner cleaning service. I'll just say Ravel because I remember I said this on the watch long. 1744 for me. Hoping people haven't planned for round 14, 15 or next 3 weeks are going to be painful. Agreed. Yeah, planning is going to be key. That's why I know I only moved up 500 spots, but my other buys are looking okay as long as I don't cop any carnage. So, and that might be why I trade out of Sheasel and Zeeble. A lot of people will hold them, but I might take the pain of maybe a good score on my head from one of them or both. Just to shore up myself around 15 because that's where I'm hopefully going to make my move and then hopefully post buys, but we'll have to see. Daniel C, is it too late to get Merritt and who else could I get? Have Brayshaw and Steele. Merritt's going to be expensive now. He's going to be probably 950 plus K. He's got his buy, so I wouldn't. I'd rather Sarong, who's coming off his bike. She said you got Brayshaw, but Sarong's an option. You probably really want players coming off their buy. So Sarong and Neil are probably the two in the midfield that you're wanting to look at. But yeah, because you've already got Brayshaw and Steele. Probably Sarong is probably the pick there. But it could be Neil as well. I don't mind Neil. Fallen Wrath, man, I want to trade Atkins, Zeeble, Day, and Sheasel. Lol. Yeah, I know I do as well. I want to get rid of all 4. Atkins will probably go. And that's the other one I keep forgetting. Atkins is probably gone for me. But yeah, Zeeble, Day, Sheasel, yeah, they might have to go like towards their buys. Max Boston, 1950 this week. Doc didn't do well for me, but not worried about it. Yeah, that's fine. 1950, great score. So considering that Doc didn't do well for you, still a very good score. Daniel sees Weddle too late to jump on. I think so. He's got his bike up as well. I think it's too late to jump on him. Ben Hayes, glad I got Butters over Rao this week. Yep, very nicely done with Butters putting up a good score there. Porter Dennison, what order do these players need to go? So Sheasel or Day? I'd probably go Sheasel goes first for me. He's got the worst of buy, and he's first-year player at the end of the day. Day's still got the role. Will Power goes before both those guys, though, and I think Zeeble goes. So I think in order, it's probably Power first, then Zeeble, then Sheasel, then Day for me. Jack Wilson scored 1944, but I've got Zeeble up forward and need some help. Who to replace him with? So 1944, great score there, Jack. Zeeble, because he's so expensive in the forward line, you can probably go to really any forward. If you don't have Gordon, he's an option. You could even go all the way down to a Jackson or a Fife and make a lot of money, then go someone up in another position. I don't know. It's a tough one. Maybe you just don't get rid of Zeeble this week. Maybe he goes next week. Ben Hayes, Callahan, very underrated. Yes. Oh, I love Callahan. He's one of my favourite players outside the Crows. Like I was wanting us to draft him in his draft year, Callahan. But we got Rochelle, so I'm definitely not complaining. I just would have liked both. But yeah, Callahan, great player. He's going to be a fantasy option. As DC said, put him in your notebook for next year because he's going to be an option for us to start with because he's looking very, very good. Andrew goes, Cart looks good. Rook, but ran 15. Can we bring him in? Oh, yeah, that's the other point. Yeah, he's got the round 15 buy and he's a forward. Yeah, that makes it tough. Harvey Harrison's probably the pick still for me in the forward line, but I forgot about that, Andrew. Thanks for reminding me. Ben Hayes, Liam Dung suspended. Yeah, we were talking about that on the pod as well. So, yeah, if you've got him, unfortunately, he's going to have to move on. Ben, I don't know whether to get Zeeble or Sheasel out first. I think it's Sheasel with the more money on his head. But then again, you could say, well, Zeeble's the older player. Sheasel's still a first-year player and a rookie. So do you get rid of Sheasel first? But then probably Zeeble's more likely to do a soft tissue injury. So I think it's Zeeble for me first because he's worth more money. That's probably what it comes down to. Paulie D, if your captain isn't in your best 18 scores, it doesn't count. Okay, so it doesn't count if it's not your best 18. So does that mean your VC gets counted there or not? I'm just having a look. So North Melbourne have got Giants at Blundstone. So it's not like they're going to put up huge scores, maybe. But yeah, either can go, I think. OG Eagles, Steele, Sarong, or Neil? I think it's Sarong for me. I would love to say Steele because I'm an owner, but I can't say Steele with any confidence. So I think it's Sarong personally for me. Fallen Wrath went Ash to Laird. Doesn't feel good, but I know it will be the better trade over the season. Yeah, agreed. Unfortunately, yeah, Ash went well, which is obviously good for me because I still have him. But yeah, and obviously Laird put up not a great score, but he'll be fine moving forward. SC Seb, does Atkins go? Yes, I think he can go. I think he can be traded. Ben Hayes, best downgrade forward. For me, it's Harvey Harrison there, Ben. Intuitive 19, 2036. Wow, huge score for you, mate. Time up for Hunt, Rat, and McRae. McRae, no. He still scored another 100. I'd hold him. Rat, I think so. And then Jaden Hunt. He's scoring well. If he's your biggest issue, you probably trade Hunt out, I think. But if not, I think he can still hold. Got Zeeble and Sheasel too. I think I'd still trade Hunt over Zeeble and Sheasel. But yeah, obviously all can sort of maybe be thought about going. Max Boston, Zeeble drop a 160 on you when you trade him out. Mark my words. He probably will. That's the thing. But unfortunately, he's got around 15 buy. So coach are trying to think maybe ahead to plan. Daniel, is Darcy Cameron a good option to get in still? I think so. I think it's a good option. James Crabb, is Jimmy worth holding one more week or better get rid of him? I'd still be happy to trade him, this week because, again, easy buy. We probably don't need him. I'd be happy to trade, but it just depends on your buys and how you're going. TC Chump, when's lockout being lifted? Hopefully soon. Might be a bit longer because the buys. But normally its lockout lifts around this time or maybe a bit sooner, but hopefully soon. Liam Smith, Neil, Lloyd, or Sinclair? For me, I think I still like Sinclair more, but I know so MJ was big on Neil. So it could be Neil. If you need a midfielder, maybe you want to go Neil. Neil or Sinclair are both good options. And Lloyd is as well. All three good options. For me, I think I like Sinclair more. I think he's more of a top 6 defender than what Neil's a top 8 mid, but I think both could be good options. Daniel C, could we jump on Nick Martin and some great weeks? I don't think so. I think the boat's gone. I think the boat was when Jet were suggesting him, and he had the good matchups as well. Whereas now Carlton is an easier matchup, but it's not as easy as what he has had the last few weeks, and he's got his bye. So for me, I think the boat's gone with him. Charlie Bodchick says, would you like to get rid of Greenwood, Sheasel, and possibly Bailey Smith? Thoughts if I could do that? Greenwood can obviously go. Sheasel can go if he's your biggest issue. And Bailey Smith, I'd hold unless you have to get rid of him. But then I'd just trade him around 15 anyway. Ben Hayes, Neil for Atkins. Yep. Zeeble for Harrison, Sharp for Johnson. I don't know if I'd go Zeeble down to Harrison. That's if you want to do Zeeble down, then you. But then again, you're technically going Atkins down to Harrison, Zeeble to Neil. But then again, you probably want Brayshaw over Neil if you can get him. Porter Dennis, Powder Keys. Yep. Zeeble to Brayshaw. Yep. And JVR, Long or Bergman to McAndrew. Yep, they sound okay. Obviously, Harvey Harrison I'd pick if you don't have him, Porter. But I like those trades, especially if McAndrew gets named. Max Boston, I climbed almost 3K spots, top 9K now. Good work, Max, mate. You're catching me. Mike, I think I'm trading Pedler to Keys, Anderson to Sarong, and Zeeble to Cameron. I'm not sure about Anderson to Sarong. I still think Anderson could be still a good hold through the buys, and he's still performing well. We had a couple of down weeks, so I don't know about that one. But Zeeble to Cameron, I like. Pedler to Keys, I'm sure you could probably do someone else, another trade there. Daniel, could Zeeble, Sheasel, and Greenwood all go to get premiums, mid-prices, and a rookie? So, yeah, you'd see saying Greenwood down a rookie, Sheasel maybe across to a Neil, and then Zeeble up. You could if you need, if your round fitting buy is looking really bad and you need to move off them now, you could. I might not move off of all three, both of Zeeble, Sheasel. Maybe you want to keep one or both, but it just depends. I think it's very team dependent, so it'll be very interesting. So perfect. All right, I'll cut it there. We've gone for a little bit over 20 minutes, but appreciate you guys tuning in as always. OG Eagle says, when does Hobbs go? Depends. Could go at the buy, could go after. He's been performing well, still making money. So it just depends if he's your biggest issue there, OG Eagles. But appreciate you guys tuning in. We had over 6 people watching for a lot of that. So appreciate everyone tuning in. Last one, Porter. I'd go Harvey Harrison or Matt Johnson, but I need a bench ruck. So I'm hoping. Okay, that's right. There, I'll tick that off then if you need a bench ruck. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you did enjoy the video, make sure that you leave a like. Always appreciate it. Helps with all the algorithm stuff, gets the video out to more people. If more people do want to tune in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm just double checking if anyone has subscribed tonight. We've got a couple of people subscribed, so appreciate the 2 people that subscribed there. Still doesn't come up with names, so apologies. But if you did subscribe, thanks very much. Social media links in the description below. Make sure you go and follow all of those. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when we go live or upload any content in the future. Again, if you want to do a super chat, feel free. And yeah, we'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow for the round review video. For my own team, we'll go through my team. I'll probably have a better idea of trades so you can see what I'm looking at doing and then how my team went. So we'll do that. And day news recap as well tomorrow night. So thanks, guys. Fallen Wrath, Max, Jack, Porter, have good nights, guys. Thanks for doing that. And then Brendan, g'day, Bales. Trades were fine. Regulars failed like hard 685 for the week. Last set was working until Kenny subbed him. Yeah, I know it's unfortunate there, Brendan. But hopefully you bounce back this weekend. Hopefully you guys have a good week. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. So I'm out, guys. Cheers.